She was running late. The man behind her looked worse off, so she let him go ahead. Just a small moment of kindness. A year later, lying in a hospital bed with no insurance, she found out he'd just paid her entire medical bill. Anonymously. Nina was used to long lines at the bank, at the DMV, at the pharmacy after her shift at the diner. It had been a long day. Double shift, sore feet, and only enough money for the cheapest antibiotics. As she waited at the counter, she noticed the man behind her, older, pale, and coughing into a wrinkled handkerchief. She could have ignored it, most would have, but she turned and said, "You can go ahead of me." The man looked surprised. "Are you sure?" "Yeah," she smiled. "I've waited all day. What's 2 more minutes?" He nodded gratefully, paid for his medicine, and left with a quiet thank you. Nina never saw him again, or so she thought. The following year was the hardest of her life. First, the diner cut her hours, then her mom got sick, real sick. Nina became a full-time caregiver overnight, took temp jobs, sold her car, ate once a day. And when she started getting dizzy, she ignored it. When the lump appeared near her rib, she pretended it would go away. Until one night she collapsed in the living room. Woke up in a hospital bed, lights buzzing overhead, an oxygen tube in her nose. No job, no insurance, just fear, and a mountain of bills growing by the hour. A nurse came in with a clipboard. Nina braced herself. "You were admitted without insurance. Your total comes to $48,312.77. Nina blinked. I can't pay that." The nurse gave her a tight smile. "I figured, which is why I wanted you to see this." She handed her another paper. "Balance due $0. Paid in full. Anonymous donor." Nina stared at it, thinking it was a mistake. "Who?" The nurse shook her head. "They left no name, just a note." She handed her the slip. On it was written, "You let me go first when I couldn't breathe. I never forgot that." Tears filled Nina's eyes. She remembered the moment instantly, the man at the pharmacy. But who was he? How did he find her? And how could he possibly afford this? She called the pharmacy. No record, too long ago. She asked around, posted online, nothing, no leads. Until a month later, she got a letter in the mail, no return address, no sender. Inside was a photo of her standing at the pharmacy line, smiling as she waved someone ahead, and another note. "You didn't know I had just lost my wife. You didn't know I couldn't afford to fall behind in line that day, or I'd miss the meds keeping me alive. That day you saved me. I just returned the favor." The letter went on. "After my wife passed, I gave up. I stopped working. I stopped living. That day at the pharmacy, I was going to give up treatment. Your kindness, that 2-minute gesture, reminded me that I mattered, that people like you still exist. So I chose to keep going. I started a small business fixing old radios. It grew. When I saw your name on the hospital's financial hardship board, I remembered you." He ended the letter with, "You were the reason I chose life." so I made sure you wouldn't have to choose between yours and your bills. Nina never found out his name. She never heard from him again, but she didn't need to. Because from that moment on, she lived differently. She paid for a stranger's gas one afternoon, left notes in library books for people going through hard times, volunteered to drive patients to their appointments for free. One small kindness had circled back and saved her life, and now she was determined to keep that circle going. If this story touched you, pass it on, because sometimes the smallest moment, the shortest wait in line, can echo through someone else's forever.